the surveyor's dimension. And my guests are already seated. They've been around for quite a while. Let's just take it off right away. But before then, quickly, let's run you through the last update that we've got. Most of you who are making that journey to the island, we did tell you that it's still looking good. If you want to make use of the Third Mainland Bridge, it's still very, very good to go right now. Also, if you are making use of Maryland corridor, the last update we gave you is looking pretty good as well. And then those of you around the Acme, earlier on we told you about an accident there. I hope that has been sorted out. Traffic managers there, you can keep us posted. All right. I understand we have some palliative measures put in place by community efforts within the deplorable portion at Agege Motor Road. That is somewhere around Idiroko, inwards Olusha, Mushi. But we have traffic managers there trying to ensure that you have it good. So there's a counter flow that's been put in place by the traffic managers within that particular corridor. So take note of that as you drive through that end as well. Let me see. Let's quickly do some house cleaning before we sink our teeth into the conversation this beautiful Friday morning. The report from areas like let me see, this is zone 21. All right, we've talked about that area earlier on at Mushi, precisely at Luth, inwards Ojue, Luth Junction, inwards Ojue, where we had a breakdown of a 40-foot container laden truck. But the good news, it was moved to the side at the time we reported that, but we're still trying to track if eventual evacuation or perhaps taking over of that truck has been done. Right here in Alausa end, movement on Mobolaji Johnson Avenue from Old Toll Gate inwards 7 up. Of course, 7 Gate and Billings Way up to Secretariat intersection, looking pretty good, both in and out. And then we can also tell you the stretch of Nuruddin Oluopopo from Lance proceeding towards Otero underneath the bridge, linking you up with Lagos Ibadan Expressway is still very okay for now, very much on a good side as you drive through that corridor. Adeni Jones in and out is still very calm at the moment. And Obafemi Awolowo Road from Barracks, Civil Defense, Ikeja City Mall, Coca-Cola Junction, as well as Radio Allen intersection up to Balogun and Uluwu to Ikeja underneath the bridge is very much in perfect shape, moving appreciably this wonderful Friday morning. But you need to watch out for alternation delays, especially on the return journey as well. Latif Jack on the road from Omole Roundabout en route Wemco Junction to Acme Junction and Agidingbe, as well as Cadbury, all looking pretty good to go right now. Okay, then, so that will give us some time for us to begin the conversation on the benchmark, because we are averting building collapse in Nigeria, the surveyor's dimension. And joining me right now, I have Surveyor Agu Roberts, who's more or less like an institution on this program right now. He's the Publicity Secretary of the Association of Private Practicing Surveyors of Nigeria, the Lagos State chapter. Surveyor Agu, Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, Victor, it's good to be back here.
And how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay, nice to have you. Making his first entry on the program today is Surveyor Biodun Awofeko, who is a fellow Nigerian Institution of Surveying right here in Nigeria. All right, Surveyor Awofeko, nice to have you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
And Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Great. All right, so let's begin by glancing through the mirror of assessment this morning to find out where we are and how far we have come. So how is the campaign for surveying services the right way going? Let me start with Surveyor Agu.
Okay, well, it's going well, but it could get better.
Okay.
It could get better.
And I'm sure that is part of the thing you want to do this year to gain more traction, right?
Yes.
All right. And Surveyor Awofeko, a lot of people are familiar with the survey plan as a document without necessarily knowing who surveyors are. So for the purpose of expansive discourse and clearer understanding, who is a surveyor and what do they do?
Well, surveyor in the general term, because we have to simplify it, is a profession. You know, that's surveying itself. It's a profession. You know, a trained professionals who maps, you know, an area of land and its features, you know, for you to have a boundary to be defined. You know, when I talk of features now, I mean the natural and the man-made features that are inclusive in that land, you know, that is noted, which can be in terms of topography of the land also, you know. So this is an exclusive area that surveyors can do.
Right.
So,
Because I'm saying this because a lot of times people just have that document. Okay, you have a piece of land. They ask you, there's a survey plan. There must be a survey plan, and before you know it, somebody does that for them, and they pick it up. But they do not really know who that surveyor is. That's why I have to just bring that in this morning. So you're saying now that the surveyor's role in identifying things and mapping of physical space is very, very crucial. That's what you're saying now.
very, very crucial. That's what we're.
All right, so let's look at, as things are today, what roles do surveyors play in the developmental equation of Nigeria? Because today now we're talking about how to develop a whole lot of things in our country. So, Sabiagu, how would you approach that question? What roles do you guys play in the development of Nigeria?
Okay, we always say, surveying is the bedrock of all meaningful development. And as simple as that sounds, the surveyor is at the forefront in terms of any form of physical development. The surveyor's role is so important that it cannot be downplayed. And part of what we're aiming at achieving with this advocacy is to ensure that all relevant government agencies, the private sector, and even individuals know who surveyors are, what they do, and also ensure that they patronize them.
All right. All right. So in terms of compliance now with surveying, and if you look across Nigeria, which parts would you say is most compliant in terms of surveying services? Are there areas in this country I say where I look from one state to the other, from one space to the other, these places are most compliant with surveying as a profession, as a practice, and of course the services that you guys render? Is there any part of this country that you can?
I think virtually all the states in Nigeria, see the relevance of surveying because it's very important, as Somiago have said, because it's the forefront, it's the first person that goes to site, that acquire the size of the land, the space, that will now tell the town planner or the engineers or the architect what is in place before any development can take place. So virtually every state, we're talking of infrastructure coming up daily, and structural buildings coming up daily also, in every state of Nigeria. So surveying is very important, so virtually all the states. But there are some areas also, as you mentioned, area that is more of compliance to it, where Lagos State in particular doesn't play. Without your survey plan, there's nothing you can do. You can't even get your development building approval.
So Lagos is at the forefront.
Yes.
All right. So as I say, before anything goes, there must be something. So before any infrastructural development, surveying must have taken place.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Exactly.
All right. Are there any principles? Are there principles that guide the practice? The profession of surveying. What are the principles? Surveyago.
Okay, there are quite a number of principles that guide the practice of surveying, which I will not want to bore you with all the technical terms.
Okay.
Yes, but there are basic principles, both in theory and practice, and then also in terms of technicalities. There are quite a number of principles that guide the practice of surveying.
All right. So in today's world, do we have fake practitioners that are surveyors? Do we have quackery in the industry?
Well, that's the vital question you asked. Is there any profession, even if we talk of medical practitioners also, you still see people that claims to be doctor, whereas they are not. And I think these vices of the society where people claims to be a registered surveyor, call themselves surveyor, and they are not surveyors.
Right.
And they are there also in every profession.
So is it very common in the surveying profession?
Well, it's common in all the professions, so surveyors are not excluded from it.
Right.
Yeah,
okay, now let's zoom our camera lenses right now to focus on the role of surveyors in averting building collapse. So first things first, when building, at what point do we need the service of a surveyor? Surveyago.
Okay, like we have always said, from the inception of any building project, the surveyor is needed.
At the beginning?
Yes, even before you even acquire the piece of land, you need the surveyor. Yes, before construction commences, you need the surveyor.
So let's think about that now, because a lot of times when we buy this piece of land, nothing comes to our mind other than somebody is taking us around. There's an agent that says, okay, you would like to buy this land, or perhaps I see a piece of land somewhere and I'm interested. I just go there. Who's in charge of this land? Somebody says, I am the owner. Okay? And then we not give shit. And from there, it becomes mine. isn't it? That's always the normal practice.
Yes, that's what happens here. But the ideal thing to do is from the point where you decide you want to buy a piece of land, you should engage the services of a surveyor. He should advise you on where to buy. Yes.
Okay. And peradventure, that space, or perhaps that action is not taken. We're not carrying the surveyor along. It is ignored. Are there any consequences?
A lot of consequences. Like, for instance, we had the incident that happened, I think it was last year, 2023, where buildings were marked for demolition along the airport's right of way.
Right.
Yes. Now, if surveyors were engaged by the landowners there, they would not have fallen into that degree of loss.
You mean it?
Yes.
So the surveyor, you guys would have identified that this is...
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, because every infrastructure from airports to power lines to canals have what we call rights of way.
Okay.
Yes, so the surveyor, part of what the service the surveyor should render to his client is to identify and advise the client on these restricted areas.
Okay.
Yes.
So when that survey plan comes out, or perhaps when the surveyor says it, he knows this is on the right of way, he is not going to advise that, look, you cannot build here. Is that the way it is?
You can't even buy. He will advise you not to buy.
Not to buy.
Yes.
Okay.
If you carry the surveyor along before acquiring the property. But the problem is that most times we have clients who are not even willing to pay a token to a surveyor to carry out due diligence on the property they intend to acquire.
All right. But what if I say, or if I have a feeling, don't worry, don't just bother, just give me a survey plan. All I just want is a survey plan. No matter what, I am in charge, or I know people. Does that happen?
Well, I think that's dangerous. Let me use that word, because in the sense that people, because like Lagos State in particular, as Sobiago have said, is mapped out for different developments. So if they say this area is right of way, physical planning is there, they have their map that shows all the area you can build, area you cannot even build into it, right? So if you now say, because you know anybody, and all this document have been tested and put to law, that this is the right of way, this is the area that is meant for certain usage, and you now say, because you know people, you can go about it, and you call the surveyor. I don't think a right-thinking surveyor will go and advert that and do it. Well, even if you said they want a provisional plan, so maybe you can give him a provisional plan that is not signed by him, and said, okay, take it to wheresoever you want to take it to and work on it.
All right. So, Beago, you mentioned something earlier on that a lot of times people are not willing to pay a token for that investigation to take place.
Yes.
Is that what normally happens? Because like the scenario I painted for you now, people just get a piece of land, or I'm interested in a piece of land, I see it somewhere, I just approach the place and, who owns this, and then we start negotiating. So are you saying now that I am supposed to go with the surveyor?
Yes, you should. For instance, before you buy a car, you don't just see a car in a car stand, especially what we call Nigerian used cars. You won't just see a car in the car stand and then you just walk in and then you buy. You want to do some investigation. You want to be sure that the vehicle is not a stolen vehicle. You want to be sure, you will even want to go with your mechanic to examine the car to even be sure that the vehicle is in good condition.
Yeah, but if it's a brand new car,
Yes, but if it's a brand new car, yes, some of those. But who told you that brand new cars are not even stolen vehicles? You still want to do some measure of checks.
Okay.
But when it comes to land, people are always, will I say, too careless to do their due diligence.
All right. So when you say paying a token means what now? Because sometimes people have the feeling that professionals like you, the charge might come at a cutthroat price, or perhaps it could cost an arm and a leg, and that's why they sometimes want to, hold back. Is that the way it is for the surveying profession?
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. Okay, look at let me just paint a scenario. The people who lost property on the airport corridor, some of those property in value are above 150 million.
Okay.
Imagine if a surveyor charged you maybe 200,000 to carry out an investigation on that parcel of land before you bought, and you refused. At the end of the day, you lost 150 million.
Wow, that's going to be huge. All right, then let's begin to dwell on the rules now, because this morning we're trying to reflect on how to avert building collapse. So, Surveyor Awofeko, what roles do surveyors then play in averting building collapse, not just in Lagos but across Nigeria?
Yeah. Well, there are quite a number of roles, surveyors, please, because we are talking of land subsidence, shifting, sinking of land now, so that a building that is put up can still stand the test of time. So you don't want it to shift, you don't want it to have deformation. And quite a number of roles surveyors play when it comes to this. When you talk of land subsidence now, because it has to do with a lot of damages we are doing, either through boreholes we are drilling around our areas, and we are depleting the surface of the earth itself. So taking away the sound, or taking away either the water that is underneath the earth's surface, and by this also we are depleting and we are changing the landscaping, which can make a building collapse.
Let's understand this better now. So land subsidence means what now? What does it really mean?
Land subsidence is another way of saying, let me put it this time, is another way of gradual sinking.
Okay, sinking of the building.
Of a building.
Wow. And we find that these days, we find this out sometimes when you approach certain locations, just see that it looks as if this building is sinking, even though it's standing. But you find out that the is it the perimeter now, or how do you describe it?
The building is going down vertically.
Yeah, vertically, And we've seen that. But people say, no, it's okay, there's nothing wrong. So are you saying that is dangerous?
Very, very dangerous. Very, very sure. That's what called building collapse most often. That the building, because as I said, it's gradual. It's not something that we just fall within over time and say, once, because that one goes to land subsidence. Right? But this one is gradual. And it's very dangerous, and even devalue the property itself.
Right.
So the people there also, they are living in dangers.
Right. And so what causes this land subsidence which you just mentioned? What are the causes?
Okay, like Awofeko just mentioned, when we have boreholes springing up in individual homes as though they are installing air conditioners, almost every building in Lagos State has a borehole drilled. Water is being taken out from the earth on a daily basis. And water in itself has a way of maintaining or helping to maintain the stability of the earth. So the more water you take out from the earth, the more the earth becomes loose underneath. The more dredging activities that happens, the more the earth becomes loose. And when it gets loose to a point where it can no longer hold, it begins to give way. And then everything that is existing above that particular surface tends to sink.
Okay, so in a particular compound, how many boreholes are we supposed to have if we have like an 8 plot of land, for instance?
Where is it like this question you mentioned now is good. In the sense that it needs to, there's nothing bad getting underground water, but it needs an expert. And most of this underground water we are getting is done by artisans. As you said, you talk of quackery now, those that are not experts in that field, right? Because you take away something, you have to give back something there. You have to cascade and make sure that that place is leveled, it's paid back. But most of the borehole we are drilling, especially around our neighborhoods, you can see within a street maybe about 20-40 boreholes. It depletes the earth surface itself. So you are taking away something and you are not giving back. So
over time it can begin to affect the buildings.
It affects the buildings. Over time it affects the building within that area. Because the more boreholes you have, it's dangerous. The more boreholes you have, it affects the area. Not only that, also because the other area we need to study also, you need to know the soil investigation of an area, before you put up a building, and make the building also to sink. Right. Because most often when it comes to construction, Lagos State have put a lot of law in places that before you can carry out your building within the neighborhood, you need to do EIA. That's environmental impact assessment, you know, that we submit to the government, so that they want to, you even do soil investigation.
Right.
Because you have different layers of soil. You know, there are soil that cannot hold building that you think. There are soil that can hold the building that can stand the test of time.
You mean it?
Yeah, so these are some of the things that they want to do when they say soil investigation survey.
So the soil in Lekki, is it different from the soil in Mushin?
It's totally different.
Savayago.
Totally different. Even the soil within this studio is different from the soil in the car park. Yes.
Serious?
Yes.
Okay, the Lagos Traffic Radio, that is 6.1 FM. Let's see if we can also expand this discuss beyond the studios to have your input. 08099120777. The benchmark is the program. And I've got my guest here, studio surveyor Abiodun Awufeko. He is, of course, a fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Surveying. And I also have surveyor Agu, who is the Publicity Secretary of APSIN right here in Lagos. I understand there is grading of the road by men of high tech. This is somewhere around the VGC inwards Lekki, and that is really, really affecting your movement within that particular location. But diversion is ongoing to address this tailback, which has extended to Landmark, I understand. But the good news, we have traffic managers there trying to ensure that you have it effectively managed as well. Okay, then, so 08099120777, 09153877127. Those are the numbers that you can call or you can send your messages to. Feel free to do that. And of course, my guest here will be able to respond as well. Okay, then, so taking that to the next level, in averting all of this, there's a term also known as deformation monitoring. What's that? Deformation monitoring techniques? What does that mean in surveying?
Deformation has to do with the...
Okay, let's take this call. Hello there, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
All right, what's the name?
Yeah, my name is Bukisheson.
Obisheson.
Yeah, I'm calling from Maryland.
All right, Obisheson, please turn down the volume of that radio.
Are you with me, sir?
Yes, I'm with you.
It's quite unfortunate that despite all the expertise of yours in the house, we still have lots of people in Lagos. And sincerely speaking, we need to work on the swap and the people that are going through the back door by giving authorization for buildings that are not supposed to exist in some areas.
Okay.
You know that very well. There is an agency that no one will mention name. The moment a building is being constructed, you will see their name and their sale on that building. Are you with me, sir?
Yes, I'm with you.
Some matters are in court right now, awaiting judgment, and the duty has been completed.
Right.
What do we do to address those issues?
Okay.
How do we get the footprint that gives them the right to go ahead and control their building when the matter is still in court for litigation? How do we do that?
Okay. All right. Very beautiful question. Thank you so much for your contribution, Obisheson. All right. So Obisheson says, in spite of the advocacy, in spite of the gospel you're preaching, people are not still following. So what do you make of his response, by the way, Surveyor Agu?
Okay, I think there's a need for a high-level interagency collaboration, especially in Lagos State, whereby, like he rightly mentioned, a piece of land is, there's litigation, and then construction work is ongoing, and the building is now complete. What if the litigation turns the other way against the person who has constructed? How will he be compensated? So I think there should be this interagency cooperation whereby once there's litigation over a piece of land, and there is probably an injunction stopping construction, every other agency that is involved in the construction process or in the developmental process should be put on alert.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. 08099120777. That's the numbers that you can call. If you also want to ask my guest here, they've said something which is very vital. Shifting of buildings, some of those things that we do, especially as relates to construction of boreholes. I'm sure most of you might not have known that before. But what do you make of it? share your thoughts with us this morning. And of course, if you also want to ask him any question as relates to some of those things that we've been making reference to. So you're talking about the deformation monitoring techniques?
Yeah.
What's that?
That's change in the shape of a building or a structure or infrastructure.
Okay.
You know, when he has, when there's a subsidence and you start seeing crack on the wall of a building, you know, that means the building has changed from its original posture. It has changed, you know, you saw it bending, you know, so that's deformation.
Yeah, but in that kind of case, one cannot, does the surveyor still come in that regard?
Well, because the surveyor, because like the question asks now, interagency is very paramount, you know, when they're coming into building, because there are a lot of professionals that goes into a building, right, that works. You know, we first mentioned the surveyors, you know, that started it, you know, is the one that did the survey, and the town planner that came up with a layout map of the area, and the architect now going, at the end of the day, even when town planner has finished his job, we still send it back to the surveyor to relate that same design, the conceptualization you have seen that this is how you want the city to be. You give it back to the surveyor. The surveyor now set it out, he laid it down as it should be, the road and other infrastructure that he has put in place in the conceptualization map. Now, where the architect take it up. But one other aspect there is this, because the surveyor also, because he needs to do adequate monitoring of those structures, you know, to know, because the major, when you talk of mapping, you are talking of elevation, taking the height of the ground. Let me use that word, you know, you are taking the height of the ground, you know. So now we are not talking of depleting of the height of the ground, that you saw a road, a street, or an area that is that have a height of 2 meters, and later by the time you come back another year, you have it, let's say 1.9. Right. You know, it has already gone down. So these are some of the things that surveyor monitors that I can do, that I can tell you that within this vicinity, this same building or this same structure, this same road is sinking, is going down. So because we have technical equipment that are designed for that.
So once we notice a shift in the land or the building or anything, we're supposed to get in touch with the surveyors. Is that what you're saying?
Well, before you get in, you need to, because there needs to be a law in place that needs to make sure that every infrastructure, even within the state, is monitored. You know, it's monitored. The high-rise building in the island needs to be monitored, you know, to make sure that it's still in place because of what we said is happening. We talk of we only give a sample of depleting the heart by the borehole, sinking of boreholes and what have you. Other means going into places also. We have also people doing mining within the vicinity of an area, extracting soil, sand mining also of the river. These are some of the way of depleting. So every structure within that vicinity also is liable to shift.
There's a message here. It says, good morning, Victor and the surveyors in the studio. Please, what's the role of surveyors in preventing land encroachment? Jola from Yabatek is sending this one in. What's your role in that?
Role of surveyor in land encroachment?
Yes.
Well, he has Surveyor Agu has already said it, you know, in the sense that before you buy a property or you need to do a test survey. And they take a surveyor there when you want to buy, because when you talk of encroachment, either to an area have been allotted for certain usage, or one person or the other have bought it, and the Office of Surveyor General of the state, especially Lagos State, has mapped of all these areas that you can easily know and said, okay, this.
So the survey plan will be able to indicate that this land is this.
Yes, because the surveyor has to do the survey first.
Okay.
So he can now take it to the agency relevant to it to check and chart and know exactly what is going on. That this land is being encroached upon. That you are not supposed to be there. If you are supposed to be there, it's for this certain purpose that you must use it for.
All right, then. So let's begin to take this home. This one. So Viago, absent Lagos, what will you be doing this year differently to ensure that at least your roles in averting building collapse can be properly felt in the state?
Well, we intend to carry out more advocacy and then also engage with our allied colleagues from the other professions in the built environment and also government agencies to let them know what should be done.
And where is ABSEN located in Lagos?
Okay, our office is just behind the Secretariat, is on Asbifi Road. Nigerian Institution of Surveyors building is adjacent lagos20@gmail.com. Then we have a Facebook page, Association of...
Okay, so I have been speaking with my friends on the benchmark this morning. Of course, we've been able to reflect a bit on our association